Hello and welcome to Cube Speed. My name's Richard, and in this episode we're going to be looking at our solid mount kit, which solidly mounts your shifter frame, or what's sometimes referred to as your tripod shifter frame, to your Toyota 5-speed gearbox in the Chaser, the Tourer V and the Mk2 from around 92 to about 2001. So the reason why we'd want one of our solid mount kits is because back in the day when Toyota came up with this shifter frame arrangement, the way they mounted the frame to the gearbox is with rubber bushes. So these rubber bushes, like even when they were brand new, they did have some degree of distortion. So when you were shifting gears, like the frame would move around a bit. But what we've found is, given these vehicles are quite a few years old now, these rubber bushes are quite often completely had it. And what that means is when you're shifting gears, your shifter frame is now wobbling around all over the place. So it means your shifter is also wobbling a lot as well. It can mean it's quite difficult to find gears. You may even miss gears when you're shifting as well, and it just makes it really quite unenjoyable driving the car as well. So what our kit does is it does away with the rubber bushes and solidly mounts the frame to the gearbox with high quality stainless steel CNC machine bushes. So we're going to show you how we go about removing the old factory bushes and installing our new ones, and we'll get started on that now. Just before we go ahead with removing the old bushes and installing the new solid bushes, we just thought we'd show you what happens to the frame that the shifter sits on when your factory bushes are really worn out. So you might be able to see down here like how much this bush is moving, and then almost also this bush up here. So you could just imagine what that does when you're trying to change gears, and how loose that makes the shifter. And it also can mean that you're missing gears and so on as well, because the frame can move around that much. But we're going to remove these factory rubber bushes and install the new Cube Speed solid stainless steel ones, and then we'll show you what the difference is. Before we go any further, we just thought we'd show you what you get in your kit when you receive it from Cube Speed. So you get these billet stainless steel CNC machine bushes. So these four here are actually all identical, and they actually mount the bottom 2 points of the frame to the gearbox. Also comes with new fasteners as well. And these two here are for mounting the top part of your tripod frame to the gearbox. They're identical, so you can't get them mixed up, and also the mounting bolt for that as well. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is remove the shifter frame from the gearbox. So you definitely don't need to remove your gearbox from the car to do this. But what you will need to do is put your car up on ramps or up on axle stands, and then you may need to drop the back of your gearbox down a little bit, and you can do that just by unwinding your gearbox crossmember bolts by about 1 inch or so, just so you can access some of the bolts that are up in the trans tunnel a little bit more easily. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to remove the shifter. So we're just going to remove this shifter linkage bolt here. So we'll just do that one first. And then if you can see, this is a little bracket down there, we can just spin that out of the way. Maybe when we undo the second bolt as well. So we've just spun that out of the way now, that shifter linkage bracket. So now we just need to undo these 4 hold down bolts, which hold the shifter into the shifter housing. Take that hold down plate off, and that rubber there, and then your shifter comes out just like that. So now we've removed the shifter, we're just going to go ahead and remove the frame. So we'll just start just by undoing this top bolt here. And then there's the 2 bolts, so one on either side, which bolt the bottom of the frame to the trans. Okay, and then we can remove the frame from the gearbox. So removing these top bushers here, these are quite easy. These pretty much almost just fall out. In some cases you might need to use a pair of pliers to pull them out. But these bottom bushers, you can see how loose that is. That's meant to be a lot tighter than that. We actually need to press those out in a vise. So we'll move in over to the vise and show you how we press those out. Okay, so we've removed our shifter frame from the gearbox. So the next thing we're going to do is remove these press fit bushers. But before we do that, I should say these alloy frames are really quite brittle. So you want to really take your time and be careful pushing these bushers out because you can snap the alloy frame. If you do break the frame, or if the frame's already broken or extremely worn out, we can get new ones, but they're order only and they're quite expensive and they do take a little while to come in as well. But we'll go ahead and we'll push this bush out. So the way we do that is using two sockets. So you want a smaller socket like this one here, and this socket needs to be slightly smaller than the hole in the alloy frame, and it needs to be pushing on this metal band that you can see around the outside of the bush there. So I'm not sure if you can see how that's contacting. So it's just touching the metal band, but it's not touching the alloy frame at all. And then you want a larger socket, which is going to go on the other side, which you're going to push the bush into. So this larger socket needs to be bigger than that steel band, which is inside the alloy frame, but it needs to touch the alloy frame though. So it needs to be slightly bigger than that steel band, but it needs to be in contact with the alloy frame. So we'll set it up in the vise, and we'll show you how those bushers push out. Right, so you want to line it up quite carefully, and then start by just doing up the vise. So you're pushing the bush through the frame. If it feels like you're using a lot of effort, there's a good chance that you may not have things lined up properly. So just check all your alignments to start again. This one's pushing out just fine though. Okay. So now the bush is pushed all the way through. So we can see the old bush here. You can see how wobbly that is, extremely loose. And that's the hole in the alloy frame that it's pushed out of. Yeah. So next we're just going to put the frame back on the gearbox and put in our new solid bushers. Alright, so next we're just going to install the frame back onto the gearbox. So the first thing we're going to do is just install these top bushers. So that they're just a slip fit, just slipping into the frame like that. And if you line that up in the frame and put the long bolt in with the washer on each side, and don't do it up tightly for now, just leave it loose. And then come in with the bottom bushers. So installing that just from the inside on both sides, and just swinging the frame around so it goes over where the locating points are on the gearbox. And then coming in with your other washer, which just sits on top like that, and then your fastener, and then line up the bolt holes, just screw it up, and just do the same thing on the other side as well. Okay, and then just go ahead and do it all up nice and tight. Right, so once that's all done up, there is absolutely no movement in that frame at all now, so absolutely perfect. And those bushes are going to last a lifetime as well. So next thing we're going to do is we'll put the shifter back on, and then we're pretty much done. Okay, so we've just gone ahead and we've reinstalled the shifter, which is just the direct reverse of the removal process. So now we can give it a bit of a test out, see what it's like. So huge improvement there. Your frame for the shifter is now solidly mounted to the gearbox, so there's no way that's going to go anywhere. So there's no excess movement there at all anymore. So now all you have to do is just put your car back together again, take it out for a test drive, go and shift some gears, have some fun. We'll catch you again next time. Thanks very much for watching.